Hello all of you beautiful people, Jules here for WhatCulture.com, and I hope that you are well, as it's coming to the close of the year, and you know what that means. No, not Christmas. New Year's. Yeah, good one. Nice one there. No, you fools. It's time for all of us media outlets to claw and scrape together the best of the year, or in this case, best of the decade list for all of those sweet, sweet YouTube pennies. And you know what the best thing is about this list, though, is that this list is a huge celebration of everything we love about gaming, and I get to detail to you lucky souls all of the highest critically rated games of the decade and basically blow my load over each and every one of them. But then I also get to sit back and watch the comments section argue over which ones are better than others, which is always another treat. So from the man who was voted best egg of the century to all of you amazing people, I'm Jules, this is WhatCulture.com, and these are the 10 highest critically rated games of the decade. And side note, these were collected from Metacritic scores, just in case you were wondering. Number 10, The Last of Us, 95. Oh me, oh my, let's get a slice of zombie and surrogate dad pie, as The Last of Us is simply put one of the finest narratives ever told in a video game. It never fails to astound me with its pacing, which whips through a heartfelt story of loss, love and betrayal at such speed, yet with such detail that it will actually make your brain ache. Set against the backdrop of an infection that turns people into student bathroom showers with teeth, Joel and Ellie begin their tale as opposing forces, yet with time, adventure, and of course a few bad jokes along the way, they develop a familial bond with one another. It helps that The Last of Us is no slouch in the gameplay department as well, offering action around every corner to provide meat on those thick bones of story. This is a game to be enjoyed again and again, and the fact that it had a rather competent multiplayer offering certainly helped matters as well. Number 9, Red Dead Redemption, 95. Rockstar truly have developed into one of the finest developers around when it comes to offering players immersive experiences, and I was utterly thrilled to learn that they were going to expand on the already brilliant Red Dead Revolver game with this 2010 title. But boy howdy, it was utterly shocking to see just how much this game actually achieved. The setting, the world building, and the characters were unlike anything seen before, utterly blowing the comparisons to GTA but with horses out of the water. This was more grounded and a much more personal story of a man trying to do right by his family, but still contained enough blood and body parts to cause a 10-gallon to overflow, making it an absolute blast to play through. And once that single-player campaign was done and dusted, you could take the fight online and group up with other players, compete against them, and race them off into the sunset to do it all again. Add to this an incredible Undead Nightmare expansion, and you've got a title that definitely made Rockstar the spittoon-clanging sheriff around these parts. Number 8, The Elder Scrolls V Skyrim, 96. The fact that Skyrim still ranks amongst the most downloaded and played games nearly 10 years after its release should clue you in as to how much of a phenomenon this game is. If you've not played it, and by this point would actually be impressed as to how you've avoided it on all of its various platforms, then this is a game that throws you into a vibrant and memorable world, pats you on the back, and whispers into your ear, "Go on mate, have some fun." You could write research papers on what actions a player could get up to in the world of Skyrim that would fill entire libraries, but what really matters is that Bethesda and their team managed to nail one thing incredibly well. They made you experience freedom. You were free to be whoever you wanted to be, play however you wanted to play, and even ignore the main quest entirely and, I don't know, go live like a hermit for years eating only wheels of cheese that you steal from travelers. Not that I did that. Whatever you chose, the game made you feel like these moments were important because they were telling a tale that you were writing with each button press. And aside from a fair few glitches and funny incidents for PC users especially, this was a perfect example of video game storytelling. Number 7, Mass Effect 2, 96. I still get chills when I think of that final mission. I still experience a genuine sense of awe when I listen to some of the line deliveries. And you know what? I still get a gleeful rush when I throw a probe into Uranus. And that is all thanks to Mass Effect 2 being one of the finest sci-fi video games ever made. Beginning with catastrophe and rarely letting up on the action, the title actually uses the reconstruction of Shepard as a means to tell its central themes, namely that you are not a one-person army and that you will will need help from others to piece things back together, hence why so much love has been given to your allies and their relevant companion quests, all of which come at the benefit of the player. For them, a huge galaxy-spanning map offers immeasurable choices to be made alongside characters who aren't just lines of dialogue with a face, they feel like fleshed-out beings, and come the close of the game, you will truly care about each and every one of them. I don't think you can find a better hallmark of quality than that. Plus, the combat is tighter than Scrooge McDuck's purse strings, which certainly helps a ton. Number 6, Batman Arkham City, 96. If you've even ever glanced over in the general direction of this game, you will find reams of quotes from critics claiming that this is the closest that you will come to, air quotes, actually becoming the Bat. And while this is a truly overplayed piece of praise, Arkham City sure does nail its atmosphere and storytelling so well that it is actually impossible not to see yourself from glowering from underneath that cowl. The combat system introduced in Arkham Asylum and then aped by every other action brawler game since has been refined here to a diamond-like clarity, allowing for the player to enter an almost rhythm-action beat-em-up style sequence which is utterly entrancing. Alongside one of the strongest performing voiceover casts in the business, Arkham City tells a much grander story than Asylum without feeling flabby, and the game addresses criticisms leveled at the original by making its action varied and its central villains deeper than ever before. Gliding across a broken and chaotic urban jungle, taking on hordes of goons and coming out on top, and using actual lateral and logical thinking to solve puzzles is a power fantasy for Batman purists, and thanks to the quality of its story, might even leave you with a tear in your eye come its closing scenes. Number 5, Mario Odyssey, 97. Nintendo are class. I don't know how better to express how this company manages to appease its target audience again and again with such pinpoint accuracy. Now true, their mobile game greed is pretty appalling, but you know what, we'll talk about that another day. And you know what, when it comes to creating first-party masterpieces, these guys are like Da Vinci, Picasso and Monet all rolled into one. Odyssey was, arguably, one of the most difficult games Ninty has ever made, in that after 3D World, where do you go from there? Well, the answer it seemed was to go everywhere, making the title Odyssey incredibly apt. The game is an absolute delight to play, simple for newcomers and youngsters to get through with ease, but challenging enough that it's already become a firm favourite amongst speedrunners. Its objective variety is almost unparalleled in the series, tasking you to think outside the item box more times than ever before. And now the only question everyone is asking is, alright Nintendo, you've done it again, well done, pat on the back and all that, but where the hell are you going to go next? Actually make Mario real? Oh, no wait, don't, that's gross. Number 4, The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, 97. What a fantastic game. From the moment you begin playing to the final hours as you take your world-weary warrior through the final trials, Breath of the Wild engages you with such passion that it's impossible to tear yourself away from. It was a big risk taking the formula to a truly open-world setting, and even more so when this was attempted on the Switch's lower-spec hardware, but Breath of the Wild reflects Nintendo at its most clever and considered. This is a game that balances moments of peace and tranquil beauty with blasts of action so well that you're never short of things to do or places to explore. The fact that it retains its incredible storytelling skills throughout is utterly remarkable, and it's little wonder why this is seen as one of the best Zelda games ever made. Number 3, Grand Theft Auto 5. 97. From its humble beginnings as the most coked up GTA to hit the stage to the monolith of madness that it's become today, the 5th numbered installment in the franchise still shows no signs of slowing even years after its release. With an incredibly ambitious 3-protagonist story which bounces across the map and yet still manages to make things feel connected, to its attack on social flaws which becomes less like a lampooning and more like a bloody beheading, GTA 5 is a game which has approached the market with such a confidence that it's ensured that it was impossible to fail. GTA Online is still one of the most popular features of any online game on the market, and that is no sheer coincidence. It's because Rockstar has dialed into its audience and delivered mayhem, murder, and mansions in equal measure. It's a 40-hour sugar rush that might be too much for some, but for the majority of critics and players, they simply couldn't get enough. Number 2, Red Dead Redemption 2, 97. Wow. After finishing this game, I sat there and just stared at the screen for like a good 15 to 20 minutes, just processing what a journey I'd been on with Arthur Morgan and beyond. This was a tale wrought with so much sadness, so much struggle that it felt like a biting pain that one only experiences from true heartbreak. I had lived in this world, not just played within it. I'd travelled up snowy mountains, stalked wild game in the swamps, and become a smog-lunged fancy boy in the city. And I'd loved every moment of it because I was given the freedom to explore and craft my own legend of the West. Rockstar had knocked it out of the park with Red Dead Redemption 1, but here things felt so much more polished and alive. And at this time of recording, with the latest updates for the online portion of the game, things have never felt so connected to the spirit of the Wild West. Whether you're helping your camp with chores and contributions or robbing banks with your posse online, there is so much to enjoy with this game. And while no one is sure what is coming next for the franchise, it is safe to say that Red Dead 2 has set expectations through the bloody roof. And number 1, Super Mario Galaxy 2 97. When Mario Galaxy 2 was announced, as hard as it is to imagine now that we're aware of how much praise this game actually garnered, fans of the series weren't all that fussed. After all, Galaxy 1 had revolutionized how Mario was interpreted, and therefore people just assumed that things would just be more of the same. How wrong we were. I mean, true, the core principles were similar, but this was a game operating on full steam, fixing the small issues of the original while expanding greatly in how one could approach the concept of platforming. The graphics were amped up to offer vibrancy and charm unparalleled at the time. The score is a thing of absolute beauty, and all of Mario's new suits and powers feel embedded into the game's design rather than gimmicks for the sake of gimmicks. Clearly, critics thought the same, as Mario Galaxy 2 sits as the second highest ranking Mario game on the Metacritic site, and according to them, is the finest game of the decade. Not too shabby at all, right? There we go, those were the 10 highest critically ranking games of the decade. Let me know what you thought about it down in the comment section below. And you know what? Whatever game you think was the highest, that is your choice, my friend. Because you know what? Video games are so varied and fun. You can enjoy so many different things. And the games on this list, after reading this, just make me want to go back and play them again. I hope that you have a fantastic day, whatever you are getting up to. And as we draw closer to Christmas, I hope that you are full of festive cheer and that you give yourself the gift of happiness, love, and respect, because you deserve all three of those, my friends. But if you find that life is being a bit of a Grinch, then do not worry, because you know what? You are not alone. If you have problems, then remember you can speak to people. Friends, family, and professionals in the support industry all care about you, and all of them want you to succeed. As always, I've been Jules. You can go follow me at RetroJ with a 0. And if you want to try out something a bit different, then you can go check out Live and Let's Dice. It's my board game channel that I have here on YouTube. And remember, you have been awesome. Never forget that. I'll speak to you soon. Also, I didn't forget the one per list joke. I just decided not to include it as my gift to the end of the year.